Definitely glad, excited to be here to talk to you guys about the whole omni-channel realm and how we can partner with Movable Inc. And for us specifically at the Bouqs, I'm responsible for CRM, but we're kind of unique in that our group actually rolls up under our product team. So we're hyper-focused on how we can not only drive traffic to our website, but also drive micro-step conversions and improve conversion rates overall. So not just with outbound marketing touch points, but as traffic gets to the site, how can we go about really making personalized, connected digital experiences to optimize traffic and increase revenue. The space that the Bouqs plays in, the flower industry is about a $14 billion market, and we're competing with guys the likes of 1-800-Flowers, Pro Flowers, and it's really a big supply chain distribution play. If you look at the market dynamics, about 80 to 90% of people, they buy flowers for same day or next day delivery, so spontaneous types of purchases. And so where the Bouqs tries to stand out is we really put a lot of attention in the visualization of not only our products, but also how we present it on the website, through email, through Facebook ads, through engagement type videos on Instagram and whatnot. So we definitely pay a lot of attention to this component, and it kind of ties into where we're going with the whole omni-channel component here right now. So I've been at the Bouqs for about a year, and when I first started there, from an offer and segmentation perspective, it was extremely simple. Offer strategy is often driven by the season. And then from a segmentation perspective, we were very simple with how we differentiated creative from that standpoint. We honestly just had differentiation between people that were registrations that never made a purchase and actual true purchasers. So now where we're at, we partner with a platform called Castora, and a great thing we have now is we have various lifecycle stages that we bucket our prospects and our customers. So from an offer perspective, the name of the game in our business is trying to get people to buy without giving away too much margin, right? So now we have different offer strategies by different stages of a life cycle. And then from a segmentation perspective, we've seen huge wins. The big thing, and I'm going to show an example in a second, is varying our creatives from a gender perspective and focusing on the recipient that you're giving flowers to. That's been a huge win for us. And then in the future, what I'm really excited about is we're trying to build on the whole life cycle stage component with how we vary offers and creatives. But a big thing with us too is we're looking at different customer types. So kind of the cool thing about working in a small company environment, marketing team of about 6, is I partner heavily with acquisition to align on what are the sources of types of acquisition dollars that are bringing new customers into the fold. And then persona-based segmentation. So we have data points about what types of recipients, what types of flower preferences you have, but we're trying to dig a little deeper into, are you a traveler? Are you a working mother? Are you, a stay-at-home mom and whatnot? And trying to align personalization from that standpoint. So just to show you an example, this subject line definitely doesn't reflect on myself. I'm definitely not the husband of the year. You can validate that with my wife, but we saw that this was a big win for us when we spoke to males this way versus this next creative variation you're going to see is people who buy just generically for friends. So we made a reference to brightening your BFF's day, and honestly, it's funny, just little tweaks in copy and email make a world of difference, where we kind of tested this iteratively during Valentine's Day, and now we kind of roll out this approach in general with a lot of our campaigns here. Because we are, unfortunately, very deal heavy and coupons focused, with a lot of our email promotions, we surface offer codes, and what this promo echo feature does, it follows customers through their whole website experience, and it'll reinforce the offer code. Sometimes we'll have countdown timers in there if the deal is going to expire and whatnot, but it's another way where we're trying to connect the outbound marketing to on-site experience there. And in the future, really what we're excited about is we want to connect more of these outbound marketing to on-site experiences to make it seem like a seamless type of approach. But what we really see as the holy grail is if we can also replicate this for direct traffic. So for people that are simply putting in Bouqs.com in a search bar or hearing us from a radio or TV ad, if we have tons of data through our Kastora platform. If there's a way that we can automatically vary up offers or creatives, we see that as really the holy grail to get into the future. So with this whole vision of evolving our on-site approach, we kind of look at it in 3 buckets. So first, delivering consistent experiences. So this was a feature that is already available within Movable Inc., but this was huge for us because during our peak seasons in Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, we have just tons of volatility of product that's sold out as we're pushing tons of promotions and tons of media dollars to sell for the holidays. And before I got to the Bouqs, there was constant conversations and disconnects between our merchandising department and the marketing teams, where we were getting into the scenario where we were pushing out campaigns promoting products that were actually sold out. And so this was huge for us in that we used the web cropping feature to port in flowers and inventory that was actually available within campaigns, because our merchandising team would make sure they took time to update the websites frequently, so we were able to stay aligned and connected from that standpoint. This was an interesting use case where, so for each of our holiday seasons, the big initial campaign or first step is where we launch our new collection. And so we kind of were digging into what the team had done in the past. Typically it'll surface like 4 or 5 of the top Bouqs in an email, but we thought the live polling feature could be an interesting way to create some engagement and interaction with our customers. And so kind of what our approach here was we surfaced a 10% offer in this initial live polling email, and you can kind of see the distribution of votes for each of the flowers here. And then what we also did is we incentivized people that actually voted. So as you click through and voted on one of the flowers to the landing page, we surfaced a visual of the actual flower that you voted on. So we were kind of making that connection between your preference, between the original selection, and then the landing page experience kind of reinforced that specific bouquet. And then we actually surfaced a higher offer as you click through. So that was part of the game theory we were trying to play to create more interaction that way. And then as a last step, what we did is we kind of said, we were getting a lot of click-throughs, a lot of people were going to the landing page, but what we find in the holidays, it's funny, we put all these efforts around trying to get people to buy early, 3-4 weeks out. So what we did is we aligned a remarketing campaign, so retargeting these people. So based off of what they voted on in that initial poll, we sent them this dedicated email highlighting the flower that they actually voted on with that same offer of 15%. And we saw huge site conversion rates, increases in site conversion rates, and incremental revenue in the campaign overall from putting in the effort of putting in this remarketing campaign. So that's something we were extremely proud of there. Cool, so the second challenge you kind of mentioned was increasing AOV. The big thing for us is how can we potentially get people to buy vases with flowers or potentially buy bigger sizes of flowers, which obviously are higher priced. And so with this example here, we leveraged our Kastora data platform, and we had a cohort of customers that we identified as purchasing for higher price points. And so what we did in this dedicated email campaign is we surfaced a secondary call out where we spoke to them as if to say, make sure you upgrade to the grand size. What we did that was kind of interesting is as they got to the website and then navigated down to the product detail page of whatever product that they were actually searching for on the site, we automatically defaulted to our grand selection versus our standard where we default to our deluxe size. And what was interesting is we saw a 20% lift in average order value. Kind of the last component is improve our on-site drop-off rates. This is a promotion for our Alaskan peonies. With this test that we ran, we again had a different cohort defined as people that would naturally want to buy flowers for vases. So in the dedicated promo, what we did is we ran a test where in the initial email, we showed a collection of peonies in a vase. But then once they got to the landing page, what we did is we split test, kind of a default version that you're seeing in the lower right here of just showing the flowers and somebody putting a curated collection together, versus a test version where we just showed the flowers in the vase itself. So we kind of made the connection, in the email you see peonies in a vase. On the landing page you again see the peonies in the vase. And with this test we saw a 46% lift in on-site conversion rates and a 5% lift in AOV. So this was a huge learning for us, something that we're looking to roll out more in the future as well. Some new news with the Bouqs. We've been around for 6 years and we recently launched a series of plants. So this is about two or 3 weeks ago. And one thing we wanted to do, and this specifically we worked with our team at Movable Inc., was testing out landing page personalization. And so what we did here was interesting. As the user clicked through to the landing page, within the landing page, what you guys are kind of seeing highlighted is we're again personalizing the first name. And then with a couple of different cohorts, we're personalizing their tenure, sort of a recognition of how long they've been a valued customer and whatnot. And this is our first test. We envision this, potentially porting this into imagery, potentially into different phases of the funnel. But with this initial first test, we actually saw a huge lift with our orchid plant affinity. And that's kind of a cohort of buyers that we thought would gravitate towards plants, and we saw a huge lift just by adding in that line of personalization on the landing page there. So what's next? I showed some examples here. I think a big thing with us is, we've mostly tested with copy thus far, but with imagery, one thing we really want to start looking at is if we know your recipient preferences, we want to start showing lifestyle images. So if I buy for my wife, show images of men buying flowers for females and whatnot. The second point here is really where we see where there's going to be potential huge upside for us is if we can identify direct traffic. That makes up about 30 to 40% of our traffic mix right now, and if we can somehow identify who these customers are as they get to the site and have the ability to vary content, whether it's from an imagery perspective, from an offer perspective, we see that could be huge for us. 85% of the market buys for next day and same day deliveries, and from a supply chain perspective, we recently expanded our delivery windows for next day. And so, one thing we've been talking about is as customers get to the site, if we can have countdown timers to create a sense of urgency of when our shipping cutoffs are, to hopefully start to meet more of that demand. We see that could be huge for helping us to compete in the marketplace. And then lastly here, I think this is potentially touched upon, but one thing we're doing manually is surfacing UGC and social content on our product pages. When you think in our space and a lot of other retailers, people like to see that social proof that others have been satisfied, with the products that they've received. And so that's something that we're testing manually now, but we envision, automating this to some extent and pulling in live content that's related to products that customers are visiting and looking at. And then, one overarching thing to all of this that I should just, touch on before I wrap up here is, with the examples I showed, all of this was done manually. We're a small, extremely scrappy team, but I think kind of what we envision is partnering with, with Movable Inc. to potentially automate a lot of this in the future, where we can kind of plan out, what are the different variations, the different cohorts, the different types of customers that we want to vary up content for, where we don't have to kind of manually recreate these experiences each time. So with that, I'll wrap up, and I'm sorry I had to put a shameless plug in here. We're getting into our busy season right now, so 50%. Cool. And thank you guys. Yeah.